Hi guys, welcome again to my podcast, and I'm your host Betty. So today we are gonna go back again. Where we left off last week. I hope you guys listened and like the episode. I know that I'm always like here and there. I have a little story where there's 20,000 little stories in between. So, I hope you like my back and forth moments. That's exactly how I am in like real life. And yeah, so last week we left off on where my mom, we lost my stepdad. So she moved back in at my grandparents' house. So we were living there. It was my grandpa who by then I think he'd been sick. My grandpa had diabetes. So at some point he developed some gangrene in his toes. And so they had to cut off his legs. The gangrene was so bad. Oh my God, I forgot what it was called. The neuropathy, I guess, became gangrene. So they had to cut all the way to his knees. So they cut off both of his legs up to his knees. So he couldn't walk anymore. My cousin, who is a year older than me, he and my mom were the ones taking care of him because, he was now needing help. He had to wear a diaper in bed. He had to get somebody to move him in a chair, to give him a shower. And we had to do some modifications into the bedroom for him to be able to, sit himself up. And it was an adjustment, honestly. I remember him being so tall, like the tallest person in the world, and then seeing him there just not moving and not doing anything was very difficult. But I really loved him. He was like my dad. He took me everywhere. He taught me how to ride a bike, and he was a really special person for me. He was quite old too. It's like when you have a grandpa, but you always remember him as a grandpa, like he's always old. That's how I remember him. And I loved him so much. I was like, to my grandparents, I was like one of their kids, I guess, because, my mom was only 16 when she had me. So I basically could have been my grandma's daughter. When my mom had me, she was 16, so my grandma, she was probably still in her 30s. Honestly. I think she was like probably less than 35, so she was pretty young for a grandma. So obviously, she took me in as one of her own, and she's always considered me like basically like her daughter. She wanted to adopt me, but I was like it was kind of weird, like I still have my mom. How is my grandma gonna adopt me? So it was a whole thing. So my grandma and my grandpa got divorced, and because my grandpa was sick, my grandma decided that he could stay at the house. We were going to take care of him because she was never there. She was always working out of town. So it was okay for her that he would stay there, even though the house was hers when they got divorced. And, we lived there. So when I was about 14, I woke up because I heard my mom saying, "No, Dad, no, wake up." She was screaming, and I opened my eyes, and I just knew. I even remember the night before. I was with my friends playing, and I don't know, I went inside. It was something about take out the trash, and I came inside, and then I went to bed, and then I woke up the next day, and then he was gone. He just passed in the bed. My mom found him, and it was difficult. I knew what was happening, and I couldn't even be in my house, honestly, for quite some time. I didn't like being at the house by myself, and I'm a scary cat. So for a while I was like, people can feel like the spirits or ghosts or whatever, and my mom and my sisters, they'll be like, oh, did you hear that? It's probably grandpa. And I'm like, oh my god, just let him rest in peace. And I'll be like, okay, if it is you, grandpa, please do not scare me, because I would definitely be freaked out and I would cry. So I never had to encounter any of those, supernatural things. Thank God, because I don't know, I would not be able to survive that. I'm a very anxious person, as you know. So that was hard. And then like a year later, maybe a year and a half later, I told you in the last episode that my dad passed away, and I was a teenager. I went to, his funeral, and then all his groupies were there. It's like basically being the daughter of a rock star, where all the groupies and the junkies and all the people show up wearing these weird clothes, like motorcycle leather jackets, and it's just weird. Some people were like literally hitting, like just with their fists on the casket, because they were like, no, why did you die? I thought it was funny, like, to a certain degree, because it's like, God, that. And, when he passed, he was very young too. Well, I guess my stepdad, when he passed, he was in his 40s. My grandpa, he was almost 70 when he passed. And my dad, he was in his 30s. So my dad, he was about maybe 32. Yes, I think he was 32. The sad thing about that is that the day he passed, it was my mom's birthday. So, now every time it's my mom's birthday, it's hard, because to me it's like that grieving day, but also a celebration day. So my mom understands that sometimes I'm not like all there. I know I have to be there for her birthday, but it's just hard. It's just weird. Like the day you're supposed to celebrate one of your parents, the other one is gone. And I mean, he was only like a couple weeks away from his birthday. He was also born in the same month as my mom. So she was like 2 weeks older than him. They were the same age and everything. So my dad passed. He was 32. He was so young. Now that I think about it, I'm like, I'm 31. He was 32. Like, he was so young. I don't know. I guess when we're kids, we don't realize that old doesn't really mean old. As we're growing up and we're like, oh, now I'm old. And then you're like, wait, but they were old. But I'm old too. So, that happened. And then, so after, I finished losing all those people, it was hard, being a teenager and having no male figure. There's one person who says that I hate men because all the men were gone in my life, and I don't hate men. I'm a hopeless romantic, and I hope one day I get to get married to love my life and have this big fairy tale wedding, but fairy tales, they don't exist. So it was difficult. Losing so many people when I was so young, but it also like made me, I guess, more mature. Like, I had to learn to do things on my own, besides the fact that, I lost my stepdad, I lost my dad, I lost my grandpa. My mom wasn't quite there all the time. I mean, imagine if I lost them, she lost them too, and then she had kids, and she probably, had some depression and anxiety too, which is probably why I have it. And she was trying to deal with her life the best way she could. So a lot of the times we wouldn't have like a lot of food, a lot of money. And back, in those years, sometimes my mom would drink more. Not like she was an alcoholic or anything, but she would like buy beer instead of buying meat. So again, I'm not judging her. She did what she had to do to survive, and we all do what we have to do. But I mean, we will always have food. It's not like we were not eating. It was just weird. So me and my siblings had to we lived this things, for a while where it was just weird. So at some point, when my mom, she was in her late 30s, she got pregnant one more time with my little sister, Dana. And she's 10 years old. So, God. Yeah. And I guess that was her turning point. That was when she stopped drinking. And she was like, okay, I'm too old to keep doing this. And, by then I was already, if she was 38, I was, I don't know, in my 20s? Yeah, I was 21, almost 22. And that is exactly after, when my mom was pregnant. 6 months later, I got pregnant. So we were pregnant at the same time. It was all weird. But yeah, I guess, once I got pregnant, she finally, she was pregnant, I was pregnant, she finally kind of got her life together. Not together, because I don't think anybody has a life together, but more like she finally started growing up. I mean, I started growing up when I was very, very young. And I always knew I wanted to be a mom. I was the mom to my siblings. Because, we had all these little missing pieces in our lives. And it was just, we had to create what we were able to. They all have different perspectives than I did, because, I mean, they didn't get to grow up as much as I did with my grandpa. He was amazing. They didn't get to hang out with their dad as much as I did. I mean, I was 7, and then when he passed, I was 12. So I got to hang out with their dad more than they did. And then my brother, he didn't even get to meet him. So it's just all weird, But, I mean, all those things, they have shaped me to be what I am, to be more mature, to grow up faster. Growing up faster is not always the ideal, but sometimes it's good when you just become independent. I became a very independent person. I am very independent. I always say I don't need no man to do things in my life. I can paint, I can drill, I can cut. I mean, I can pretend to fix my car. I wouldn't be able to. Honestly, I'd rather just take it to the shop. But, I lacked all those things. But also my grandma, she was a very tough woman. I mean, she is still alive. She would always paint by herself, clean by herself, do things by herself. And she taught us that we didn't need a man. We never needed. It's not about needing or not a man. It's just we are capable of doing our own things. I believe that we need a partner more than a husband. Because, husband is just a title. But we always need to have a partner, somebody that's there for us. And it doesn't have to be like a man. It could be your best friend. It was just, we always need somebody that can help us support who we are, what we're going through. Just like the way that I live my life, I don't know. I guess I had all the support that I needed from all the people around me, and I still do. And I love that. So, yeah, I guess that was the ending of my teen years. So, probably my next episode, I'll talk to you guys about, later on college life and being a mom being a mom in college, because that was fun. Not really. But guys, I hope you stay. I hope you subscribe, follow me. Always remember, there's always somebody that loves you. And I love you guys. Mwah. See you on the next one.